Hey there, Regina Anley here, and it is time for the AI Spotlight. This week, we are talking about storytelling. And your story is that thing that makes you absolutely unique and it makes you stand out from everybody else in whatever crowded marketplace you're in. Most of us, 99.9% of us, are in a crowded marketplace. And as a business owner, it's your job to make sure that you stand out so that people come to see you and find out if you can be the one who helps them, right? Well, your story is that secret sauce, the key ingredient that you need to actually make sure that you stand out. It's what makes people connect to you. So today on the AI Spotlight, I want to talk about using AI to help you take those stories and turn them into scroll stopping content for your audience. So when you think about storytelling, a lot of people think, oh, storytelling, I have to tell my life story. And, I went from this and I went from that and it was all this. And you end up with this big, long, drawn out story. There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, I highly suggest that you open up a Google Doc or a Word doc and talk in, meaning turn on the microphone on your computer as opposed to typing it, and just speak your journey, whatever it is. So whatever your business is, so say if you're a business consultant, it might be, how did you become a business consultant? What brought you into working with the type of audience that you work with as a business consultant? If you're a nutritionist, why did you become a nutritionist? What happened to your life that made you stop and learn a whole bunch of stuff that you're now sharing with others? What was that story behind? What were the struggles, the challenges? What made you become who you are, and what prompted you to start sharing that with others? Talk that into a document and then save that document. That's your big story. That's your journey story. And then there's the stories, the little everyday things that happen. I posted on Facebook this morning a little meme about your brain being way too crazy at night, because last night my brain was way too crazy and it kept going back on, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done that, and I was shooting all over myself. And I made a post out of it. It was my story. It was my story of what happened to me last night in bed and why I couldn't sleep. But I was able to take that and go, okay, well, how can I use that and have a lesson come from that? Because you know what? We all have those nights, right? And so I just turned it around to a lesson. Those are your little mini stories of the things that happen every single day. So, what you first need to do is think about, what are your stories? And again, there is your journey story, that long story of why you became who you are today. Speak that into a Word doc, a Google Doc, or wherever, and save it. Feel free to add to it at any point. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take your stories and we're going to feed them into AI and have AI turn them into scroll stopping, engaging content that really helps your audience connect with you. So this story bank is just really all of these stories. So your journey story, all these little stories, every single time, every single day, at the end of the day, just stop and think. I actually use stickies. So I'll use stickies all the time, and I'll be like, oh, this just happened. Oh, I got to add that to my story bank, because it's a teachable moment. If it was a teachable moment for me, if it was a teachable moment for you, it's a teachable moment for your audience. Chances are pretty good that if you learn something from it, they're going to learn something from it too. It might be an aha moment for your audience. Whatever it was an aha moment for you. It's part of your story. So maybe something happened. Something happens today. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be polished. Maybe a client asked you a really good question about something. Maybe you were procrastinating about doing something because you just didn't feel like doing it. Or maybe you were overthinking something, overanalyzing something. You had analysis paralysis. Or maybe You were out walking this morning, and all of a sudden, this brilliant thought came to your head. Whatever it is, this happens all day long in your brain. Your brain, your subconscious, everything is like working 24/7, and all this stuff is going on, and it is a gold mine of content for your business. So start thinking, start being aware of those moments and capturing them. And whether you write them on sticky notes and then speak them into your story bank document or whatever you do, just keep them someplace and then log them, meaning put them into a story bank document, right? And it could be, these are my daily moments, daily moments document versus your journey document. And you can have different ones that are there, and you're building that story bank, right? So now here's what you want to think about when it comes to those stories. What was the moment? What happened? Why did it stand out as something that you went, oh my gosh, this was like such a teachable moment, or something that I want to share? What was the shift? What happened that you all of a sudden realized that you got out of it? My sleep last night, when I realized you're going over and over all of this stuff that, you know what? I can't change the past. I live in the present. Go to sleep. Let us be present and sleep. That's what we're supposed to do. That was the shift. It was when I realized, stop going around in those circles in my brain, right? So what was the shift for you? And then what was the takeaway? What was the lesson that you got and your audience can use? In the case of my last night story, it was, let go of that stuff. It doesn't matter anymore. You can't change the past. All you can do is affect the present, right? So you live in the now, live in the present. That was the lesson. And I'm telling you, already people have been commenting on it because people needed to hear that, because they're like, oh my gosh, that happens to me all the time. So those are the types of things that you want to put into your story bank, right? Now, once you have that story bank put together, even if it's just one little story from today, it doesn't even have to be a whole story bank. You can just start with something that happened today. This is where, whether you use ChatGPT or maybe you're using Gemini, this is where you go in and you have AI help you, because now you've got it logged. You've got it in that story bank document, right? And you say to AI, turn this moment into a short story-based post with a clear lesson at the end. Keep it simple, warm, and easy to read. There's a basic prompt to put in. And then what you do is you paste in the moment. You either paste the moment in or you attach that story bank file. So you can say something like, turn this story into a LinkedIn post with short paragraphs. Turn this moment into an email with one insight and one action step. Create a 5 to 7 slide carousel using this moment. All you need to do is give it your moment. Give it your moment and say, here, create this for me. You can say, give me 3 angles for telling this story. Maybe you have a story and you're like, I'm not sure how I want to present this. Give me 3 angles for telling me the story. Or maybe you had something that was more of a harsh thing that happened, maybe something bad that happened. So you might want to say, rewrite this in a softer, more reflective tone. Or turn this into a 120-word story with a very clear shift. So the point here is that you don't have to start from scratch. You do most of the work by just simply noticing the moment, noticing what happened, noticing the story moment. Stories don't have to be, 10-year things, 5-year things, 1-year things, 1-month things, 1-week things. It could be literally a moment. Something happened. It's a story. So use that, and you will notice that you'll have content. So if you're sitting there going, I don't know what to post every day and I'm running out of things to say, you're not. You have a ton of stuff because you're living. You're doing stuff every single day. Every single day. There are multiple moments. You're just not noticing them yet. So now it's time to actually start noticing them. And then make that little story bank, feed it into AI. You could come up with a year's worth of content just by moments from a week, right? Because there's so much that happens every day. So it works so well because these stories really, they show your audience how you think, how you help, how you show up. They show them your personality, and people connect with you on a deeper level when you're sharing your stories, not just consistently, blurting out tips. Tips are great, value tips are great, but it can't be all that. You want to mix it up. You want to throw those stories in there. And when you're like, "Ugh, I'm not that creative. I want to tell my story, but it's coming out really dull and flat." That's me, by the way. I am the logic person. I'm not a creative person. So when I write something, it comes out very logical, which is not very emotional. I can take what I put logical, put it into AI and say, can you help me create this in a way that will actually connect with my audience? And it will help me make it more relatable, because there's always a great message, but I don't want people reading my story like it's a textbook, right? So if you're writing those story posts, or you're telling people what happened and it's coming across like a textbook, people are going to scroll right past that stuff. So this is where AI comes in, because it can help you mix it up a little bit to make it more relatable. And then, not every single post, not every single day, throw in some calls to action. I did not this morning, but I could have very easily said at the end, comment below if this has ever happened to you. It will create engagement. It'll spark engagement. You can put a call to action at the end of where you think you want them to go next. So think about what's happening to you today. Where have you gone? What have you done? For me here, it's just after 10 o'clock in the morning, and I have already done a whole day's worth of stuff. I have, unpacked my car. I moved some stuff around. I helped my sister-in-law get her breakfast. I did some stuff. There was a whole bunch of things that I could build into stories, because this is life and it helps people relate with you. So, what stories do you have? What can you tell? Take that, write it down, or talk it into your AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever your favorite tool is to create your content, because there's many of them now. Take your favorite tool, put that information in, and see what comes out. If you want to have even more fun with AI on this, take the same story and put it into multiple AI tools, and you will see the differences between the responses that you get, because you can get a completely different post, a completely different story, depending on what tool you use. And some might be better than others. Personally, I bounce back and forth. I do. I pit them against each other, and I'll put stuff into one and I'll put it into the other and the other. And then I'll be like, okay, who's got the best story out of this? So play with your AI, put your story in there. Let it create something for you that will actually help your audience engage at a deeper level with you. So that's what I've got for you today on the AI Spotlight. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.